In Vedic astrology, how do we interpret each zodiac sign? Hi, my name is Gina from Her Cosmic Crown. I will briefly go over each zodiac sign according to Gemini astrology. So Aries is the first zodiac sign. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is active, focused, energetic. Mars is the planet that gets things done. He represents the general, and so Aries has these qualities as well. Aries can be very fiery. This sign can kind of go head first when it comes to initiating. Aries is the sign that wants to be first, it wants to go first, it wants to be a leader. And this makes sense because the sun is exalted in Aries. The sun does extremely well in Aries. Aries has to do with our willpower. So, you know, what is it that we are going to do? That is our willpower and sticking to that, being consistent. When I think of Aries, I think of actively going towards one's inspirations. According to Gemini, Aries represents 5 mice and 1 cat. And this signifies that, you know, if a town has a problem with mice or things like that, just bring in cats and that will resolve the problem. So this idea of Aries has to do with problem solving and figuring things out. So Aries has that inspiration, Aries has that energy, Aries has that drive to get things done. The second sign is Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus has to do with fulfillment, the fulfillment that we get from the world, such as food and shelter and making things easier in life. So it represents vehicles, any kind of fulfillment. And also Taurus is an earth sign, so it's very grounded, and it's represented by bulls, by cows, by any type of beast actually. Bulls are very useful in a community. They can help plow the fields. Cows can help nourish a community with the milk that they produce. And Taurus represents our self-worth. Okay, that's a big thing with Venus, is our self-worth. How do we value ourselves? And so something like a cow is very valuable to a community, and Taurus represents that material security, feeling like, hey, I feel good, I feel fulfilled in terms of what the world is giving me. Taurus also represents nature and things that are natural. So Taurus represents natural beauty, the nature. Also, Taurus represents luxurious things, comforts, things that make our lives easier and more worthwhile. The third sign is Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is an extremely curious, investigative sign. It has to do with communication, and Gemini is a social sign. So Gemini is very much a sign of communication, socializing. According to Gemini, there is a masculine and a feminine side to Gemini. So Gemini, on one hand, represents the male who is holding a club, which is a weapon, and the female side, or the female, is holding a lute, and that represents the more creative side of things. So Gemini has this duality to it. On one hand, it can be very creative, and then on the other hand, there can be a destructive side to it. And that destructive side isn't bad, because we need things to be destroyed so we can create something new. So Gemini represents both of those forces. Gemini represents applying what we learn, being open to trying new things and seeing what works. The fourth sign is Cancer. So Cancer is ruled by the moon. One of the things that the moon represents are our emotions, our feelings. The moon also represents how we get our needs met, how we're getting nurtured, are we getting nourished, right? And so it represents our mother, the moon. So Cancer represents all of those things as well. So Leo, which I'm going to get into next, Leo represents the king or the kingdom, while Cancer represents the queen. The queen has more of this inner knowing. It's not so much of knowing the facts or having a game plan, but it's very intuitive. The moon, the sign of Cancer, very intuitive. This Cancer energy is about this inner knowing, and it knows how to get needs met, right? It's kind of like a mother who knows what the baby wants if that mother is connected to her inner knowing. So a quick little note about Cancer. Cancer has to do with traveling to foreign lands, believe it or not. Number 5, we have Leo. Leo is naturally ruled by the sun, who represents the king or the father figure in a person's life, some kind of authority. Okay, so Leo represents a leader who has inspired actions, who goes towards their dharmic path. And Leo represents kind of this consistency, and this consistent force is what is within everybody, okay, and which is the Atma. And so this consistent force that runs through everybody and their soul, because the sun corresponds to the soul, that is what is consistent with us. That's true to who we are. And Leo represents our individuality. What makes us different than another person next to us? So every single person is so different. They have their different path that they're here for. They're here to do different things, to create different things, to express themselves in different ways. And that's what Leo's about. It's about that self-expression, that individual essence. One thing about Leo is Leo can be very radiant and magnetic and can draw others to him, right? So Leo is about just being this kind of shining figure that people are just mesmerized by. Leo can be kind of the center of activity. The 6th sign is Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the planet of investigation. It's very curious. It has to do with learning and trying new things. And Mercury is actually a very interesting planet. It represents anything that's interesting. It represents skills as well, writing, things like that. Another aspect of Virgo, according to Gemini astrology, is that it represents a prepubescent girl. Not just a virgin, but a young girl. This young girl is oftentimes very curious, but also she can be selective. Little girls tend to be selective. They tend to be picky. They tend to, think that this person has cooties or whatever the case may be. So she represents purity. She represents things that are clean. She wants things to be clean in general, right? And so Virgo represents the mountains. It represents being high up, far away from the city life, far away from the pollution. And the higher up we go, the clearer the air is, the less chances smog will be up there. So it's that purity, it's that pure essence, and that's what Virgo represents. Virgo also has to do with being meticulous and kind of weeding things out and figuring out what is harmful, what is impure, and keeping the things that are pure and not harmful. And so Virgo, being an earth sign, has to do with improving our material circumstances and enjoying the fruits of our labor as well. The seventh sign is Libra. So Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus has to do with our fulfillment, our values, relationships, win-win situations, and all of those things. According to Gemini, Libra represents this man in a bazaar, and he has scales, and he is weighing produce and things like that. And by weighing them, he can see the value of those things. Is this valuable, or how valuable is this? Is this worth buying, or can I find a better deal? So Libra is all about appraising something, and Venus is all about appraising things too. So Venus has to do, Libra as well, has to do with figuring out, is this how I want to live my life, right? Is this worth it? Okay. Is this lifestyle the way I want to live my life, right? So Libra is all about evaluating, right? And seeing what works, what doesn't work for us. Libra also has to do with relationships. So it's about knowing our own worth and knowing the worth of our partner or potential partner or business partner. And so it's about knowing the worth of something. And when we have Libra strong in our charts, we're able to appraise something. We can appraise our worth against someone else's worth and seeing if that's a good match. We can, see if buying something or negotiating or trading with someone else or a business is going to be worth it. Is it going to be a good deal or not? When Libra in our charts is not balanced, we can find imbalances in our relationships. We could be getting the short end of the stick, or the other people we're working with somehow gets the short end of the stick. So we want things to flow. It should be, I'm getting something from you, you're getting something from me. Whatever it is, it should be useful. Okay, whatever kind of agreement we have with another person, it should be useful for both parties. So that is Libra in a nutshell. The eighth sign is Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, according to Vedic astrology, and Mars has to do with the fight, okay? And Scorpio, being a feminine planet, has to do with kind of the inner fight that we may be facing. And Scorpio represents demons. It can represent demons or snakes. A lot of people fear snakes. So these demons, these snakes that we have, are really something that we need to fight internally, right? These could be our wounds that creep up and are projected into the world, and we get scared and we're like, oh gosh, this is so scary, I can't believe this is happening. But we don't realize that the screen in front of us, this world we're living in, this matrix, whatever you want to call it, is there to help us understand what's in our subconscious. So if we are facing very scary situations, things that are happening out of nowhere, chaotic situations, things that we can't seem to get out of, we definitely want to look within ourselves and see if there's something that we need to fight within, because that's what Scorpio is. Another aspect of Scorpio is because it's ruled by Mars, Mars represents our willpower, saying, I will do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to jog 3 days a week. Now, the other side of Mars is the feminine side, which is more of the Scorpio side, which is restraint. So it's about holding back. It's about saying no. It's about saying, I won't do that. I'm going to quit drugs. I'm going to quit doing alcohol, drinking alcohol, whatever the case may be. So it's about having that restraint having that inner discipline, right? So Scorpio also has that discipline side to it. When it's healthy, it can say, hey, you know, I'm not gonna lash out at this person, even though they called me outside of my name. I have more discipline than that. I have that inner restraint, that inner control. So on one hand, Scorpio represents our, you know, our demons, the snakes, and then on the other hand, Scorpio represents an eagle, and that eagle represents soaring above our problems. So a person with Scorpio, you know, afflicted, can succumb to their inner demons, the things that they're fighting with, and, you know, they're not able to overcome those things. On the other hand, someone who has a strong, healthy Scorpio, they are able to kind of soar above those problems. They're able to fight those demons and realize, hey, I'm just fighting a battle with myself. I'm not really fighting a battle with the world. This is the main thing I got to do. And once they do that, they can soar above a lot of stuff, and there can be a huge transformation with a person with a healthy Scorpio in their chart. The ninth sign is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter has to do with wisdom. It's also a planet that has to do with our inner knowing, knowledge, and Sagittarius, according to Gemini, represents a man on the horse. Not a centaur, not a man, half horse, but a man literally on a horse. And he has a bow and arrow, and he's aiming to bullseye his goals. So he's always looking towards his goals. And he has this vehicle, which is a horse, that helps him get to his goals faster and more efficiently, and can last long because he's on this horse, right? So if we're just walking on our path, it takes us longer to get there. But the fact that Sagittarius represents a man on a horse, he's able to get to his goals more efficiently and faster. And so he's just aiming for his goals. Sagittarius is a visionary. He has a vision for his life, and he believes in a way to get there. He is inspired to get there somehow. And Sagittarius is also the sign of our beliefs, our belief system. You know, it can have to do with philosophy and religion and things like that. So it can be a very philosophical sign, deep thoughts, deep existential thoughts. This sign has to do with contemplation and doing whatever it takes to find the truth. And Sagittarius has to do with going, you know, it's this moving sign with this man on the horse. And so he's moving forward, he's progressing. And Sagittarius does have to do with, you know, a lot of times falling off the course. But Sagittarius is looking for the truth. The ultimate pilgrimage is not to Earth's farthest edge, but it's to the center of our soul. And that's essentially what Sagittarius is. It's going on this quest, but it's really this inner quest that it goes on, and then Sagittarius reaches the truth. The 10th sign is Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the planet of suffering. It's the planet of pain, trauma, delays, limitations, right? Losses. So it's a planet of hardships. It's not an easy planet, but there's a lot of lessons and great spiritual things we can learn from Saturn. And Capricorn, being ruled by Saturn, has to do with just kind of like this suffering and realizing our own limitations in life. However, Capricorn is also this sign of endurance and being able to carry burdens, because in Vedic astrology, Capricorn is ruled by the crocodile. And if we think about the crocodiles, they've been here for a long time. Crocodiles have been around for a very long time, and a lot of times crocodiles represent kind of this indestructible force, and that's what Capricorn represents. It's being able to endure so much, right? No matter what happens, no matter if other populations or species are becoming extinct, it's that thing that kind of lasts. And so Capricorn is related to being able to survive. There's something durable about a person who has strong Capricorn traits in their charts. They can keep going if this sign is strong. Capricorn teaches us to kind of accept the harsh realities of life and to let go of what we need to let go of. The 11th sign is Aquarius. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn, and Saturn again represents hardships, limitations, things that we have to overcome. According to Gemini, Aquarius symbolizes a man on an island with an empty jug. So he's surrounded by water, and this water represents happiness, fulfillment, nourishment. However, he's holding this empty jug, right? So he knows that happiness is out there. He knows that nourishment is out there, but he's carrying this empty thing within him. So that vessel represents kind of like this this nagging feeling within that something is missing, something's lacking, right? Because that's part of the human condition, that we all feel like, okay, I'm in this world, but no matter how much food I eat or how much pleasure I get in whatever I'm doing, no matter how much of that I'm doing, I'm not satisfied. So there's this part of being human that we're never going to be satisfied in, and there's this constant search for that thing that we are kind of looking for. Aquarius is about feeling and being content with this human experience that we're having. And the opposite sign is Leo, which is the individual, which is shining on one's path and maybe being a leader of some sort. But Aquarius, it doesn't need to be a leader. It doesn't need to stick out. It doesn't need to stand out, but it's content with kind of blending in with others. It's very connected to other people. It's a social sign, like I said. Last but not least, we have Pisces, which is also ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter represents our inner knowing, wisdom, knowledge. Pisces reflects the nature of fish in a deep, vast ocean. And the ocean represents the collective subconsciousness. And if you can picture fish, if you can imagine fish, they are one with the ocean, right? It's kind of like we as humans, we're one with the air. And so there's this connection with the water, and this ocean is so vast. There's so much in the ocean that we haven't discovered as humans. So the fish that are in the ocean, they're just one with everything, right? So if there's pollution in the ocean, that becomes the environment of that fish. If there are contaminants and chemicals, that becomes one with the fish. Or if there are beautiful coral reefs, you know, that's the fish. The fish is exposed to everything, the good and the bad, right? And the fish know no boundaries, unlike Virgo, the opposite sign, which is more about boundaries and like, okay, this belongs here, that belongs there. But Pisces is just one with everything. And this is a high level of consciousness if we think about it, because that is what we are searching for. What we're searching for in Aquarius, that lack, we can find that in Pisces, because it represents the one, it represents the all, it represents whatever you want to call that, the divine, and it's all knowing, and that's representing Pisces. It's just everything all at once. Pisces is fully exposed to the world's duality, and in Pisces, this is where we can escape, though. We can escape the worldly problems through meditation or some other kind of way, through contemplation, through trying to find out the truth and why we're here. Pisces is a moksha sign, which has to do with liberation, and it's through this sign that a lot of us can find liberation on our path and be at peace finally. I hope you enjoyed each description of the zodiac signs. Let me know what your favorite zodiac signs are and why in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.